Getting into sim racing can be hard. You don't know which games are good, the hardware is super expensive, and then there are all of those difficult terms. Oversteer, understeer, what does that even mean? Exactly, what do over and understeer mean? What's the difference between the two and how do you tackle them? And with that, welcome back to Overtake.gg. My name is ChampionJoe and today I bring to you a beginner's guide about over and understeer. As a sim racing freshman, these terms will get thrown at you rather sooner than later. Which is why we will talk about the terms themselves today, figure out why and when over and understeer occur, and what you as a rookie sim racer can do to best them. If that sounds like content that you would enjoy, why not leave a like and subscribe to Overtake? We have tons of content like this one, and if you like sim racing, ringing the bell will ensure that you never ever miss a video of us again. So let's start with understeer, the more desirable of the two, although more hated than the other. Understeer describes the loss of traction of the front tires while steering. As you might know, your tire has a limit on how much grip it can offer before starting to slide over a surface. Think about a tire spinning out on gravel. The tire will not do what you ask it to do, as the grip is just not there. The same applies to your tire while understeering. The front just can't provide the grip to support the chosen wheel angle into a turn and will instead slide over the surface and continue in a straight line. This is, just like stated in the beginning, mostly harmless, but will cost you tons of precious time on your way to a new personal best. Look at how the tire starts skipping over the tarmac because the turning action is just too much to ask of it. So to round up, what is understeer? It's your front tires going over the grip level, which leads to you moving on in a straight line and the car not steering enough. So basically your car is understeering. Get it? And oversteer is basically the opposite to that. The car rotates into a turn and the rear steps out. It gets light and tries to overtake the front part of the car with a spin. It's literally turning too much. It's oversteering into the bend, and that is dangerous and fun and sometimes fast if you don't overdo it. The thing is that your rear can break loose here, which will end in a spin and often in car damage as well. Especially in a race car, having little to no oversteer is often the desired status. Because losing traction more often than not will lead to a loss of time, as you are losing control over the vehicle as well. But as you might know, correcting oversteer and sliding a bit is not only fun, but a little bit of slip angle can actually be pretty fast. After all, you're forcing your tires to turn in faster than the fully gripping tire could ever offer you. It's a cat. Do you want to learn something about over and understeer as well? Alright, there's a cat in my lap now. So, next we have to learn the causes of under and oversteer and how to correct them to understand when they occur. So, let's start with understeer again. When is the car understeering? When there's no grip on the front tires. We had that. So, this will happen when you enter a corner with too much speed and expect the tires to magically turn in abruptly. The velocity is just too much to overcome for the grip level, and the car will start sliding away from your desired direction of travel. This will also happen when you lock up, meaning when your car has no ABS and the front tires lock up under braking, which will also lead to the car not steering. So how can we correct that behavior? First of all, smooth steering is king. When you enter a turn, try and slowly increase the steering lock instead of turning rapidly and expecting the tires to just follow along. You need to slowly load the tires with force, otherwise you lose grip in an instant. And the second tip to avoid understeer while turning into a corner is to use weight transfer to your advantage. While braking, your car will dip to the front as the weight of the car is thrown forward. The exact opposite happens under acceleration, as your car's weight will shift to the rear. And we can use those basic physics to our advantage, as the car part that holds all the weight has more grip in that moment. So, to reduce understeer in the turn-in phase of a corner, just stay on the brakes for a little bit longer while you start turning in. Of course not while fully braking, that will lead to you crashing out for sure. But as you are lifting off the brake, you start slowly turning in at the same time. This will help with front axle grip and always give you the most traction possible. But a corner has two faces, the entry and the exit. Which is why we have to talk about exit and understeer at the exit as well. This happens a lot with front wheel driven cars like TCR cars for example. And it occurs when you accelerate too fast, too much, and the front tires can't provide the grip to hold the line. A fantastic corner to showcase this are hairpins like the last corner on the Nürburgring GP track. When you accelerate too early or too abruptly, the car won't be able to hold a desired line and will drive straight into the grass on the outside of the curbing here. To correct this, you sadly don't have a lot of options. You can't afford to sacrifice your flat-out acceleration onto the main straight, which is why you need to be patient and have to correct the understeer before it happens. My tip would be to rotate the car more while you are at the apex, by modulating the throttle as well as holding the brakes for just a little bit longer to get the car turned in more. This will lead to you having a better exit and less risk of running wide onto the grass. Last tip before we move on to oversteer, don't try and steer more when you feel the understeer at the exit. This will not help or give you more traction because you are already over the limit. Only reducing speed can help you at that point. Okay, let's have a look at the cases when your car starts oversteering. First up, like understeer, entering a corner too quickly can also lead to the car oversteering. Depending on your car setup and your driving style, one end of the car will give. The easy fix: reduce the speed you enter the band with, and just like with understeer, try and be as smooth as possible with your steering inputs. Next, your car could become prone to understeer when you stay on the brakes for too long. We were already talking about the weight being transferred to the front while decelerating, right? Now you see, the problem is that your rear tires will lose grip under braking. When braking too heavily and starting to turn, your rear tires will lose grip and a spin is initiated. So you need to find the right balance while braking and release the brakes maybe a little bit earlier. That way your car can grip up again and rotate better through the turn. And there's even one more situation where oversteer can be introduced while turning into a corner. You see, when you enter a fast flowing corner where you don't necessarily have to brake at all, but rather just lift off the throttle, the same weight transfer rules apply. This is called lift off oversteer, and it can introduce oversteer in a slide when you lift off the throttle too aggressively. Just try and be gentler while lifting the accelerator, and you might even be able to carry more speed than you thought, as the rear tires will now have more grip. Finally, we have the corner exit and rear wheel driven cars spinning out while stepping on the accelerator. In those situations, the rear tires just can't transfer the power of the motor onto the track and will start spinning, just like with the gravel pit before. There just isn't enough traction. Of course, in modern GT3 cars, for example, you could raise the traction control setting and let the electronics help you get the power distributed to the right degree. But if you don't have TC available, a smooth throttle application and/or setup changes can help you here. Overall, setups are overwhelmingly designed to tackle any over and understeer behavior of your car. So if you guys want me to do a follow-up video explaining all the basic setup tips to tackle over and understeer, let me know in the comments down below, and maybe I'll do one in the next couple of weeks. And if you need more beginner tips to get up and running in sim racing right now, maybe check out my top 5 beginner mistakes to avoid that will help you with your first steps. But that's it from me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time around. Cheers!